Okay, good morning, Tracy. Are you with me?
Good morning, I'm with you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Harris Adams. I'm the administrative law judge assigned to hear proceeding number 24F-0236CP. This matter comes on for a hearing pursuant to decision R24-0555I. And I guess to an extent, because of the denial of the request to vacate this hearing by decision number R24-025I. I'll call the hearing to order, and first I'll run through a note. If at any time during this name I should mispronounce someone's name or refer to someone by an incorrect gender pronoun, I apologize in advance and let you know that I mean no disrespect. But please simply just correct me, and I'll do my best to get it right from then on out. And with that, I'll invite entries of appearance.
Your Honor, Jedi Knight for Mountain Star Transportation, attorney for Mountain Star Transportation, and this is my first time appearing in this matter, and I believe I need to provide a little additional information. So my bar number, Colorado bar number 60108. I practice with Mueller, Ivy, Newbern, and Knight. Our address is 1550 Larimer Street, Suite 128, Denver, Colorado 80202. Phone number is 720-303-2627, and we don't have a fax number, but I do have an email address, jedi.knight, just as you see it spelled there, at mink.law.
Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Sean Jennings with the law firm Ireland Stapleton, bar registration number 43846, here on behalf of On Location Events, LLC.
Good morning.
And I'm Mark Valentine from the law firm of Keys and Fox on behalf of Ace Express and Ramblin' Express.
Good morning. Okay, well, Mr. Knight, you've shortened the hearing a few minutes. I think by your having entered your appearance, Mr. Lisenko, on behalf of Mountain Star, has satisfied the order to show cause and has mooted those issues as to his ability to represent himself pro se in the case. Is that, am I understanding your intent correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Then, so that was the first issue that needed to get resolved today, and so we can move to the second. This is a hearing established as described in the decision setting today's hearing for the sole or limited purpose of resolving disputed jurisdictional facts. So that's where we're at today. Mr. Knight, you have a burden on the issue to establish jurisdictional facts for your complaint. So we'll be starting with you and then going through the parties for any other testimony after that. Are there any preliminary matters we need to address? Any other preliminary matters, I guess, before we get going?
Your Honor, on behalf of On Location Events, I would like to respond on the attorney representation issue, if that's permissible at this time.
Sure.
So I understand that Mr. Knight has filed an entry of appearance. I'm sorry about that. But Your Honor, one of the rulings for in advance of today's hearing is whether Mr. Lisenko properly filed a complaint. He's filed motions. He's filed a subpoena request. He's essentially engaged in the practice of law. And so although Mr. Knight has entered his appearance today, all those prior filings On Location Events submits were not filed properly and not filed pursuant to PUC rules. So in some sense, we may be back starting from scratch. Mr. Knight did not file the complaint. He did not sign it. Mr. Lysenko, even this morning, submitted 2 documents purporting to be about subpoena service. So I think, Your Honor, we would request that this matter cannot proceed based on the record as it stands.
So in response to that, so I was hired very, very recently in that to come onto this case. In response to that, I believe in the order that was issued setting this hearing, Your Honor, you stated that Mr. Lysenko can either make arguments why he should be able to represent himself in Mountain Star, or obtain an attorney. And in this case, we've satisfied that by, or he satisfied that by obtaining an attorney.
Yeah, Mr. Jennings, well, let me ask you this anyway. Have you reviewed the file in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
So one of the things, and I think this is a technicality that we, in my view at this point, yes, I believe you satisfied the order to show cause. But at this point, the complaint was not signed by counsel, of course, because you weren't in the case. And when an attorney files a complaint, they are subject to professional responsibilities. Rule 11, most immediate in mind. And so I guess what I would ask you is if you've reviewed the complaint, are you satisfied to the claims in the complaint and intend to prosecute that complaint?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Jennings, I'm going to deny that. I think it might be a new motion because I don't believe that's the basis of the original motion. And I know that this did satisfy my order to show cause. So but I'll say it without prejudice. If you think that there's a legal basis, I want to see some good legal citation of authority as to why the case can't proceed. And I would entertain that as a motion, but we're going to not do that today. So the order to show cause is satisfied. Mr. Knight is counsel of record. And we're going to proceed to resolve the disputed facts, jurisdictional facts in the hearing today. Any other preliminary matters before we get going?
I have some exhibits that I plan to introduce. I have a public copy. There is some highly confidential information that's been redacted. And so I didn't know that how I would need to use those exhibits.
Sure. Have you put those in the box.com?
They're in the box.com, yes.
Okay, and oops. Bear with me just a moment. Make sure. I think it is Ms. Kunkel. Don't see our names on the thing. So Ms. Kunkel, are you with me? And you've got the box.com ready to go for us?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. All right, you're ready to go, Mr. Valentine. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other parties, and Mr. Knight, I know you're new to the case. If you have any exhibits that you intend to offer today that are not already in your box.com folder.
All of our exhibits are in box.com. If I could, though, Your Honor, ask, just for efficiency's sake, for this hearing, if we could do both. So we plan on calling Mr. Lysenko and just allow for, if the other parties want to do a direct examination of Mr. Lysenko to do, I would be okay if they did that while we're presenting our case. They can also do cross-examination, and then the same as well for us to be able to do direct examination of the other parties here. I see Mr. Holland is here, Mr. Davis, and Mr. Van Patten, if they're called as witnesses, if they plan to be called as witnesses for these other parties.
You've got the case, and we'll find out who the other parties intend to call after you rest your case.
Okay.
Okay, then Mr. Knight, you can call your first witness.
Uh, are we going to be doing opening statements as well?
If you would like to make a brief opening, I'll sure allow that.
Thank you.
And you would go first.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. So as you stated earlier, we're here to talk about the very limited issue of whether or not the commission has jurisdiction over respondents. The commission's authority is established statutorily, CRS 40-6-108, and it gives the commission authority to hear complaints against public utilities for violations of any law or commission rule. So the question here is, are these respondents public utilities? And within that definition of public utilities, of course, is common carriers. So what we're going to show today is ample evidence that all three respondents are common carriers. With regard to Ace Express has permits showing from the PUC showing that they are common carriers. The same with Ramblin Express. Ramblin is a permitted common carrier. It's a little more complicated with On Location. We admit that. There are a number of factors to decide, to be able to determine, though, whether an entity is acting as a common carrier. I just hope you keep in mind today, if something looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Doesn't matter what you call it. In this case, On Location checks all of those boxes, showing that it's acting like a common carrier, thus being subject to the commission's jurisdiction. You're going to see evidence today presented and hear testimony from Mr. Lysenko that On Location directly affords means of transportation within Colorado by a motor vehicle by indiscriminately accepting and carrying passengers for compensation. Those are the elements. And so, you know, seeing that those elements are satisfied, we're of course going to ask this court to be able to rule that On Location is a common carrier, thus subject to the commission's jurisdiction.
Okay. Mr. Jennings, any opening remarks or opening statement?
Thank you, Your Honor. As we've set forth in our motion to dismiss, which is pending, we believe this matter should be dismissed regardless of whether Mountain Star is represented by counsel relevant to today's hearing, why the commission does not have jurisdiction specifically over the claims against On Location. I think On Location is different in that respect from Ace and Ramblin. There are three different parties on the other side of the docket in this matter, and On Location is not a public utility. And I agree with counsel, Your Honor, the commission's jurisdiction is limited. It doesn't, like any other court, it has to have jurisdiction over specific claims and specific parties before it. And when it comes to assessing whether the commission has jurisdiction over this matter, I agree with counsel. There's a statute on point, CRS 46-108, and it empowers the commission with jurisdiction over a complaint setting forth any act or thing done by a public utility. And On Location Events is not a public utility. There is further analysis to be done as far as what constitutes a public utility, but On Location Events does not satisfy the criteria. And for these reasons, Your Honor, we believe that it's appropriate to dismiss this complaint at this stage of the proceeding. If we do get into testimony of the relevant witnesses today, Your Honor, you're going to hear about why Mr. Lysenko brought this complaint. And it's not because he's a concerned citizen. This complaint is not being brought by the commission staff. This complaint is being brought by a business competitor, Mr. Lysenko. And we submit, Your Honor, that the commission should see through the tactics so far that have been employed. And we believe, relevant to today's hearing, there's grounds to dismiss this complaint As to on-location events, and dismiss on-location events as a party from this proceeding for lack of subject matter jurisdiction. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Valentine.
Good morning, Your Honor. We believe the evidence will show that this case is not appropriately before the commission because ACE and Ramblin are not operating as common carriers. And that's all I will say for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, then we'll come back to you, Mr. Knight.
Thank you, Your Honor. As our first witness, we'd like to call Mr. Roman Lysenko.
Mr. Lysenko, if you would please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. May proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Lysenko, will you please tell us your full name?
Yes, my name is Roman, R-O-M-A-N, Lysenko, L-Y-S-E-N-K-O.
Thank you. And where do you live, Mr. Lysenko?
I live in Centennial 17998 East Dorado Avenue, Centennial, Colorado, 80015.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about your educational background?
I've got a bachelor degree in software engineering, and I've got the master degree in economics as well. So yeah, this is it.
Thank you. And where did you obtain that education?
It actually was back home. So my family is Russian Ukrainian family. So all that education actually it's not in US. So
okay, thank you. What is your occupation?
So I'm a small business owner. It's a hands-on owner-operator transportation company.
And that transportation company, what's the name of that transportation company?
The company name is Mountain Star Transportation, and we've got two DBAs doing business as Explorer Tours and Red Rock Shuttle.
And you said you were the owner of that business?
Yes, the solo owner. Yep.
Okay, no other owners of that business?
No.
Thank you. So as a transportation business, are you regulated by the PUC, by the commission?
Yes, definitely. So I began at like 2011 with luxury limousine license. And then, yes, definitely, since 2011, we've been working with PUC for like almost, what, 13 years.
So you would be familiar with the regulations regarding transportation companies?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Or do you have any permits or licenses from the commission?
Oh, definitely. So I've got luxury limousine license. I've got CPCN, which is Common Carrier License Authority. I've got the Scenic Charter Bus license as well. Those three, yep.
And were those granted to you personally or to the business?
To the business, to Mountain Star. Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me, counsel. Apologies. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. My setting. Please proceed. Mr. Valentine went off of my screen, and I didn't realize that. So I was afraid he dropped off. Excuse me, Mr. Knight.
Thank you. Do you know why we're here today?
Yes, definitely. I'm the complainant. I finally complained about other three companies. I filed a complaint against On Location, ACE, and Ramblin Express.
And so are you familiar with these entities?
Oh, yes, definitely. So yeah, ACE probably one of the largest company, right, here in Colorado. Ramblin Express is pretty big and large as well. On Location business working with us, we started later, but we started properly. So, but we've been working shoulder to shoulder, driving people to Red Rocks and back. So yes, I'm aware of these three companies.
So when you say shoulder to shoulder or
No,
together, or what do you?
we operate, we've got substantially fixed pickup points, and there we've got, I believe, 3 points right now. They have 4 points of the pickup right now, and some of them actually have come across. Like we do pick up at Union Station. They pick up at Union Station as well. We're right in the middle. They on the corner. We pick up at Origin Hotel as well. They pick up at Origin Hotel. We drop off at the same place at Red Rocks. Our cones.
Mr. Lysenko, let me interrupt you, please. Could you say the name of the hotels again, please?
Yes, it's Origin Hotel in Golden. Origin. Maybe I pronounce it. Yes. And then we drop off our customers at the same spot at Red Rocks on the Upper North parking lot. Our cones set side by side. Pretty much.
So that's what you mean by shoulder to shoulder.
Exactly. Yep.
If we could please display for the witness exhibit 104. And I apologize, Your Honor, I'm not sure. Okay, it looks like this is visible to everyone.
Yes, this proceeding is being webcast on YouTube. So everything that goes on this screen, unless we do something different, will be on that screen. And all the participants of the Zoom session we're using for the meeting are available to all parties.
Wonderful.
And so just for clarification, Mr. Knight, if you're not familiar, once the parties put those exhibits in their own folder, as they become offered for admission, the commission takes control of those and puts them in the hearing folder, to which the parties are still able to view them, but can no longer edit, remove them, anything like
that. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Lysenko, are you able to see what's being displayed?
Yes, definitely.
Document. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do. This is exhibit 104, and I actually prepared that exhibit. And this is the certificate. It's a permit actually from PUC. Yep.
What do you mean when you say you prepared this document?
So I actually obtained it from PUC, so anybody can just go and check, do the permit or certificate search on the PUC website. You can just see what company have as an active, inactive, or past history of certificates. And you can request copies of those certificates. I believe Ms. Rodriguez, she is the PUC staff member, so she provided copies of those certificates to me.
And how did she provide those to you?
Via email.
Okay, thank you. And would you mind just reading the title of this first page, please?
Yes, definitely. It says Colorado Public Utility Commission permit to operate as a limited regulation carrier.
And then next, where it says Ace Express, could you just read those?
Sure. It's Ace Express Coaches LLC, and the address 14,000 West 44th Avenue, Golden, Colorado 80403.
Thank you. And Your Honor, I'm not sure who is controlling the document. Would that be you?
If you just say what you need, then
okay,
Ms. Kunkel will make it happen.
Oh, thank you. Okay. If you would scroll down on this first page just a little bit to show the bottom. And Mr. Lysenko, can you just describe what you see at the bottom of that first page?
Yes, at the bottom left, there is a seal, official PUC seal. It says State of Colorado Public Utility Commission. So it's an official seal. And on the right side, it's Rebecca White, director's signature.
Have you seen that seal anywhere else before?
Yes, definitely. So my charter scenic bus permit has it. Pretty much every certificate I believe we obtain, they look like that with the signature at the bottom and the seal.
Hey, Judge Adams, I can expedite this. I don't have any objection to the admission of this.
Okay, let's scroll through the document, Ms. Kunkel. Thank you, Mr. Valentine. I appreciate that.
There's,
Can I just point one thing real quick?
Excuse me, Mr. Lysenko, just give us a moment here. Okay. So, Mr. Knight, I assume we're going to get to a point where you're going to offer Exhibit 104?
That would be right now, Your Honor, assuming Mr. Jennings doesn't have any objection.
And Mr. Valentine first? Any objection to the admission of 104?
no objection, Your Honor.
Thank you. Exhibit 104 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. If we could scroll down to page 2, please. Mr. Lysenko, could you just read that what's the text next to Roman numeral 2 there, please?
Mr. Knight, now I'll confess a bit of a pet peeve. This is now in evidence, so we don't need him to read it to us. In fact, I'm very confident he can. But if you have a question about it, or you want him to address something, feel free to ask the questions. But we don't need him to read it once it's in evidence.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. On page 2, you see where it says transportation and charter service. Mr. Lysenko, do you know what that means?
Yes, definitely. It's a charter service. It's a part of the common carrier, and this is the common carrier authority for Ace Express. And if you scroll down at the bottom, it just shows that it's good until it's been revoked, canceled, suspended, altered, or amended. So until it's been revoked, it is active. And on the left-hand side, it's a seal. So official Colorado PUC seal.
And I want to go back real quick to how you obtained this document. Can you describe, so you said you got it from the PUC. How did you find which document, find that you needed to get these documents?
So I just went online on PUC, went on PUC permit search, punch in Ace Express coaches. You see all the active certificates and permits that they have, made the list and requested from
Your Honor, I'm just going to object at this point. He's giving a narrative, apparently a foundation for a document that's already in evidence. I don't see how this is relevant to jurisdiction at this point.
This is not foundation. This is to make a point which I'm about to make, if I may continue, Your Honor.
Well, let's get there. I mean, this is the authority that Mr. Valentine has allowed its admission, and it's a commission record. So let's get to that point then.
So you were saying, Mr. Lysenko, that it has active records, and this you saw as an active license there.
That is correct. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, that will be all with this exhibit. If we could go to Exhibit 105, please. And perhaps I'll ask Mr. Valentine if there's any objection to these. These are the permits.
And Ms. Kunkel, again, if you would just page us through this real quick and let Mr. Valentine and I review. It's 5. Okay. Mr. Valentine, do you have any objection to the admission of Exhibit 105? You're muted, Mr. Valentine.
Hang on just a second here. So I don't have any objection.
Okay, Exhibit 105 will be admitted.
Thank you. And Mr. Lysenko, if we could, or I apologize, if we could just go to page 3.
Hang on just a second here. I see that this might not be this document I have questions about because CSB 83 says that it was issued June 8th, 2023 through June 8th, 2024, but the date is April 15th, 2024. So I don't fully understand that.
Scroll down to the bottom of the page, please, Ms. Conkle. Because this is a limited regulation permit.
Right.
And this one is valid from June 8th, 23 through June 8th, 24.
This one. I was going to introduce a different document that is not the permit, but it shows that the permit status is active.
I think the distinction might be, and again, this could be a disputed question of fact, so I'm not foreclosing it, but is the relevant time period if it's active today or if it was active from June 8th, 23 to June 8th, 24.
Okay. No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Exhibit 105 is admitted.
And if we could go to page 3, please. And Mr. Lysenko, just based on what you read here, what does this tell you about Ramblin' Express?
This is the official Public Utility Commission authority for several services, including at the bottom, call and demand shuttle service. It's Romeo number 2. So it's a common carrier license, common carrier authority. And at the bottom, it's official PUC, Colorado PUC seal. And on the right-hand side, it says it's still active until it's continues until revoked, canceled, suspended, altered, or amended.
And so just to clarify, this is a common carrier certificate or permit for?
It is.
Thank you. That'll be all with this exhibit. Thank you. If we could bring up exhibit 101, please. All right, Mr. Lysenko, do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do. Exhibit 101, I did prepare it, and I made this exhibit by going to the website rxshuttles.com.
And how did you, can you tell us a little more about how you prepared it?
Yes, definitely. So I just went online, did the print screen, inserted into the PDF file. So I'm trying to show the website address, the date at the bottom when I've done it, and then I just combined all those pages into a document.
Okay, and what was the date that you created this document?
Can you just enlarge it? It's in the in the lower right corner. It's August 20th. Yep.
Thank you. And if we scroll through all of these pages briefly, does this look like the document that you prepared?
Yes, definitely. Yep.
Your Honor, move to admit exhibit 101.
Your Honor, on location objects to the admission of this exhibit.
Okay, first, I had a little break in sound just in case the record did. That was an offer to admit exhibit 101. Mr. Jennings, your objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. The first page looks quite similar to a document that has already been filed as an attachment to the complaint. So I think it's duplicative of something that Mr. Lysenko initially, and then on Mountain Star has already filed to attempt to support its complaint. So I don't think it should be, admitted twice again at this limited hearing. Secondly, it's a 9-page document. It appears to purport to On Location's business, we've never had an opportunity to review this. So, I know that we briefly scrolled through, but we have no indication of the authenticity of this document. I will note, the witness was asked about how he accessed it. It looks like there's a potentially something at the bottom of the screen about Mr. Lysenko's computer, but there's no verification of the website address and whether this document is authentic as it concerns On Location events.
Okay, I'll overrule the objection. I think you can address those matters on cross if you'd like, but I think the witness established sufficient foundation that he created this document from a website with the domain rrxshuttles.com. Exhibit 101 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Lysenko, based on what you see here in this document, who does this website belong to?
It belongs to On Location, Shuttles to Red Rocks.
And what is this website showing?
So on this website, to me, it looks On Location advertises own brand. It's called Shuttles to Red Rocks with own logo, with the large bus right in the middle with the own logo on the bus. It says Shuttles to Red Rocks. Right above the bypasses, there is a sign, make your next trip to Red Rocks as convenient as it memorable with the little help from On Locations, Shuttles to Red Rocks. So to me, On Location advertises own brand, which has own logo.
Objection, Your Honor. Objection to this testimony.
Well, let's get to the question answered, and then you can, sorry, you shouldn't do that. What's the objection?
Your Honor, the document has been admitted, it sounds like, so we do not need Mr. Lysenko to read it for us. But the more important objection is that Mr. Lysenko is starting to testify about legal conclusions, about things that are at issue in this case.
Okay, I'm sensitive to that issue. I didn't hear that yet, but this is a hearing to determine disputed facts, and that is an issue. Is that we need to leave the legal conclusions for later. So let's focus on facts. If you recall where you were in your testimony, Mr. Lysenko, you can complete your answer, or Mr. Knight, you can rephrase or repeat the question if you need to.
I'll just redirect a little bit if that's okay.
Sure.
Mr. Lysenko, who do you believe this website belongs to?
It belongs to On Location.
And what is it used for?
It used to advertise shuttles to Red Rocks.
Okay, have you used this website before?
Yes, I did. I have. Okay,
and how did you use that website?
So I even purchased the ticket and used the shuttle in the past. And can I just one thing I didn't finish, if I'm allowed to finish, to scroll down to the second page. I was just telling about, and the third page, I apologize. Third page. So that's the about page on the same website, on the On Location website. And if you see that the Shuttles to Red Rocks, it's stated on the About Us page, On Location Shuttles to Red Rocks program provides a stress-free round-trip transportation service for concert goers. Okay. So that's why I began with advertising own brand and providing shuttle service. That's Mr. James had the objection on that, so I apologize. I was making the statement, just trying to finish up that statement. So, but Mr. Knight, go ahead. I apologize for interrupting you as well. My bad.
If we could go to the next page, please. So do you see where it says 2,600 plus shuttles operated and 40 miles driven?
Definitely. This is the same about page, and this is the lower portion of the about page, which is about on location. And they advertise, they say that 300,000 total riders, 1,300 plus showed served, and then 2,600 plus shuttles operated,
So
and
what,
21K plus miles driven.
thank you. What does this tell you about what On Location does?
On Location provides shuttle service to Red
Objection, Your
Rocks,
Honor.
and it
Objection to this, to the answer. It's a legal conclusion. We can all see the website displayed on the screen, and it's been admitted as an exhibit.
But this isn't offered for what that show or this isn't a question about what that's showing, but about what Mr. Lysenko would believe based on viewing this website. And as we said,
I'll allow it.
thank you, Your Honor. Now, here's a question, Mr. Lysenko. Are any of the other respondents besides On Location listed on this website?
No, I've went through the whole website, scanned the whole website, even the partner, that partners at the bottom listing all these different brands, logos, places, even at the partner portion, the other respondents never been mentioned or included in this website. That's why I say that it advertises shuttle service and provides shuttle service.
Thank you, Mr. Lysenko. Earlier, you had said that you've purchased a ticket from this website, correct?
That is correct.
If we could go to Exhibit 103, please. And Mr. Lysenko, do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do. This is the ticket that I purchased.
Through the rxshuttles.com website?
That is correct. Yep.
And if we could scroll down to the next page, please. What does this page show?
This is the confirmation email, which I believe it's going to be 3 pages of that confirmation email with the PDF file at the bottom, which is actual ticket. So this is confirmation email, which went to my email inbox.
On the 2 line, it says Ruslan Kucherenko. Who is that?
So this is the employee. So at the moment when I was actually purchasing it, I was using the company card of employees that never been hired, because we actually I'm the only solo owner of the account, credit card account, and we can stick nicknames on the credit card, so we can easily track which driver makes which purchases. So we ordered a couple cards. They never been used. The drivers never been hired, and it's actually my card at that time was compromised. So I was ordering and waiting for my new card. So I've been just using that card as my card, and I provided so I provide that Ruslan Kucherenko at the billing portion of the website when I was buying it. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. You provided what at the website?
I provided the name Ruslan Kucherenko at the billing portion. When you're buying a ticket, there is a portion for billing, what name on the card, and I just provided the name on the card because it was a name on the card up there. So when I just throw it up there, I didn't know it's going to apply that towards all the documents for further documents on the ticket.
If we could just scroll through the next couple pages, and Mr. Lysenko, just tell us what these pages are showing.
So this is the same confirmation email. That's the payment, and that's the confirmation email which went to my email inbox. At the upper right corner, it was my name on the inbox. This is how much I paid. This is the last 4 of that credit card that I've used. And on the upper left corner right now, it's the order number for this ticket.
And this email whose email account is this?
This is my email.
Okay. If we could go to the last page, please. And what do you see here, Mr. Lysenko?
This is, first of all, the card that I've used. If you see, it's Ruslan Kucherenko, and there is Mountain Star Transportation. That's the company card. And I'm the sole owner, and I'm the only owner of that account with Capital One. And above that, this is the wristband that I collected when I went actually to ride the shuttle on the day of the concert. And I've got that wristband from the person checking everybody in. So.
Thank you. And you said that you've seen this document before. Who prepared this document?
I did.
Okay, how did you prepare it?
Just scan it. I scanned made all the PDF files and combined them together.
Thank you. How did you prepare the ticket that we saw on the first page?
On the first ticket, actually, I did not scan it. It was actually been a PDF file in my email, and I just included that PDF file as the first page. So I did not scan it. It's the official kind of PDF file, which was in the email. So.
And how did you prepare the other pages from your email?
From the email. You can go to your email, hit print, and then save as PDF, and you just save it as PDF, and then you just add it to the PDF file.
Thank you. We move to enter this exhibit, Your Honor.
Any objection to the admission of Exhibit 103?
I have an objection on relevance grounds, Your Honor. Clearly, it sounds like Mr. Lysenko was involved in the creation of this exhibit. But we do have to remember that the purpose of today's hearing is a limited hearing, and this does not show, nor did Mr. Lysenko's testimony show that this is relevant to public utility service. This is a ticket, checkout verification process. So I think it has no relevance to the limited issue, which is one of the questions that On Location has posed, is whether On Location is a public utility. And so I don't think this document and Mr. Lysenko's testimony is relevant to that issue.
So I'll overrule. I'll allow the evidence. I'll overrule the objection, and obviously you can rebut the evidence or cross-examination on it, but I'll allow it. Exhibit 103 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Lysenko, you said you purchased the ticket from that website that we looked at earlier. Did you use this ticket?
Yes, I did. On the date of the show, June, on the date of the shuttle, on the June 20th, I believe the shuttle was scheduled for 5:15 from Origin Hotel. That's the ticket I purchased. So I went there, collected the wristband. I've been notified that the shuttle runs late for, I don't know, until 5:45. Oh, yeah, my bad.
If I could just interrupt you, I want to ask one question. So you went and collected the wristband. So you didn't have the wristband, you didn't get the wristband before?
No, I collected it at the check-in station. Every fixed pickup point has the check-in station, same as we do, and where the customers come in, check in, and get the wristband. They show the ticket and get the wristband.
Where was this check-in station?
This particular was at Origin Hotel.
Okay, and when you arrived at the check-in station, can you tell us a little bit about what you observed?
So yes, when I arrived to Origin Hotel, the check-in station was right in front of me. As soon as you pass, I believe on the right-hand side, there is the front desk. In front of you, there is the check-in table with the skirt, branded skirt. It says Shuttles to Red Rocks. There was a lady with a vest, orange vest, with branded vest, Shuttles to Red Rocks. She asked me to present the ticket. I gave her a ticket. She gave me a wristband, and
So that's where that's the point at which you got the wristband. So
Exactly.
what happened after you received the wristband?
Then she notified that the shuttle runs late today, and it's a small group today. And she said that the shuttle gonna be at like 5:50ish, and I just went to wander around until 5:50. And
So after you wandered around and waited around, did you take the shuttle?
yes, I took the shuttle. The bus rolls up, and that's finally where I saw that the actually ACE providing this service. Because through the exhibits before, I saw on location through the checkout, all the logos been only on location, and once the bus rolls up, it was the ACE bus.
Okay, how did you know it was an ACE bus?
It was the ACE decals on that bus, and by the, I believe, by the tires, front tires, there is the DOT information as well. All the charter buses must have that have DOT. They must have the DOT information on it as well. So.
How did you know that that was the bus you were supposed to get on?
Everybody got on the same bus. They actually explained, the lady that checked me in, she said that they look for such a bus, it will rolls up on the in front of the main entrance, and everybody who checked in, the whole group was staying right by the street up there, and everybody just got on the bus.
Was there any on-location branding on the bus or shuttles?
Yes, on the front windshield, they got the same on-location, little sign on location, and it gives the usually the pickup point. So it says on location Origin Hotel, on location Hotel Monaco, on location wherever. So there is a little logo on the windshield. Yep, and little sign.
And you rode the bus, and tell us about the bus ride. Well, let me ask a different question. You said you were with other people. Was that your group?
No, it wasn't my group. I didn't know anybody on the bus.
Okay, thank you. And you said you rode the bus. Where did it take you?
Took me to Upper North lot, and I get out of the bus, wander around. I didn't check in. Actually, we had cones that we need to set up right next to on location. So I wander around, check on the cones, count how many we need replacement, change the carabiners on the chains and stuff like that. So I wander around, walk down, took the cab to back to the Origin, and got in the car and just left. I didn't go to a concert.
Okay, thank you. And then during the bus ride, did you tell the driver where to go or where to drop you off?
No, I couldn't tell where to go. It's a fixed pickup points where you go in and where you kind of agreeing that you will be riding this bus from such point to such point. So you are a portion of the unrelated or whatever individuals up there that ride in to the fixed point.
Okay, thank you. I believe that's all the questions that we'll have for this witness.
Okay, Mr. Jennings, cross-examination.
Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Lysenko.
Good morning.
I'd like to ask you about the ride that you were just describing. So you testified a lot about the on-location website and branding, but is it your testimony that ACE provided that ride to you to Red Rocks?
No, my testimony that on location actually provide me with that ride to Red Rocks.
I thought you testified that when the vehicle came, you saw markings on the vehicle that identified it as ACE. Wasn't that your testimony?
It is my testimony that the vehicle has those decals, but the on location provided me with that bus.
How did on location provide you a ride when you just testified that it was ACE's vehicle that drove you to Red Rocks?
So I purchased the ticket from on location. I paid to on location for a particular service. And on location provided me with the ride. That's what I bought from them.
Mr. Asenko, you're an owner in the transportation business, correct?
That is correct. Yep.
And you recognize that it was an ACE vehicle that arrived to pick you up on that date. And when you got in the vehicle, you identified it as an ACE vehicle. Isn't that right?
So yes, the vehicle had the ACE decals. That is correct. Yep.
Did you ask the driver who they were employed by?
No, I haven't. I didn't.
Mr. Asenko, you attempted to subpoena Mr. Rick Van Patten, is that correct?
That is correct.
And do you personally know Mr. Van Patten? Have you ever met him?
Yes, definitely.
Honor, objection. This is outside the scope of his original testimony.
Mr. Jennings, I think you can call him in your case if you wish, but I think this is outside the scope, unless you're going to tie it up quickly.
Okay. Well, I won't ask about Mr. Van Patten, but I would like to ask about his knowledge of on-location events because he testified significantly to on-location events business. So, Mr. Lysenko, are you familiar with the company on-location events?
Yes, I am.
And have you ever personally met with representatives of on-location events?
Yes.
Did you tell a representative of on-location events that you wanted to buy out their company?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
And
Well, Mr. Lysenko, Mr. Jennings, where's the relevance?
The relevance, Your Honor, is Mr. Lysenko's interaction with my client's business. He testified that he knows a lot about their company, and I have a brief line of questioning as to how he came about that knowledge.
But this is irrelevant to subject matter jurisdiction.
I'll allow it. You said a brief line, so.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I would just like to take a few minutes, in total on my cross. So, Mr. Lysenko, you have met personally with a representative of on-location events, correct?
that is correct.
Okay. And did you tell that representative that you wanted to buy out on-location events, the company?
I want to buy out them. Is it your question?
Yes.
No, I did not tell that.
Did you tell a representative of on-location events that if they didn't agree to buy out your company, that you would file a PUC complaint against them?
No, it wasn't that. So if administrative law judge will allow me, I can just describe a little more.
Sorry, Mr. Lysenko, we're going to interrupt you again. Mr. Knight?
Yeah, I'm going to object again. This is irrelevant to jurisdiction. This hits perhaps at the heart of the dispute here, but this has nothing to do with jurisdiction at all.
Yeah, I think we're not getting to about his information or his knowledge of the company. I think we've gotten off that track a little bit, Mr. Jennings. Why don't you bring us back to that with your next question?
Understood, Your Honor. So turning to your complaint, Mr. Lysenko, did you admit in your complaint that, quote, on-location events is not a commission-regulated company?
Yes, and let me just explain real quick. I did admit it, but let me just explain. And that's probably going to be my English second language problem, because I was trying to express myself that currently the on-location is not overseen by PUC, but it should be overseen by PUC because of wherever the service she provides. So, and the whole motion was about bringing up and making sure that PUC oversees, because it operates in their jurisdiction. Because previously, like we been always, our rates, our points, geographic location we serve, we always have to submit that and get approval from PUC. So
Okay.
PUC.
Your Honor, I would just like the witness. It was a very straightforward question. Whether
yes, I did. Yes, to state that I did state that in my complaint.
Okay. And you testified earlier about a series of PUC documents. Those were certificates and permits for transportation. Is that right?
That is correct. Yep.
And were any of those documents a certificate or a permit held by on-location events?
No.
Are you aware of any common carrier certificate or permit that is held by on-location events?
No, I'm not aware. I've done
Any
this
other
search.
type of PUC authority, luxury limousine, charter bus certificate?
No, I've done the search. I couldn't find anything about that.
Do you know if on-location events owns any vehicles in Colorado?
I don't know. I can speculate on that, but I don't know.
Do you know if on-location events employs any vehicle drivers in Colorado?
I don't know.
Do you know if on-location events leases property to store any vehicles or to conduct mechanics maintenance on vehicles in Colorado?
I don't know.
Those are all the questions I have. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Valentine.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Mr. Lysenko, you testified that when the bus rolled up, you realized that it was Ace Express that was providing the service, the actual bus. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so you understand that there's a contract between Ace and with On Location, correct?
He would have
So,
to stipulate to that,
Mr. Knight,
testify to that.
I'm sorry, Mr. Knight, I couldn't hear you very well.
The objection is that it calls for his speculation.
Mr. Valentine?
I'm asking him if he understands that as a transportation provider in Colorado.
Oh, Mr. Lysenko, do you know if there's a contract between On Location and either Rambling Express or Ace Express?
I don't know, not that I know from the website, not that I know from the confirmation email. So I don't know if there is a contract or not. It's never been listed on the website or anywhere on the website. It's never been actually disclosed on the website that there is a contract between of them. So
Okay.
maybe it's a private information between of them, but it's never been publicly released.
Okay, but let me continue to ask, aside from the website and other knowledge you have of On Location, are you aware if there's a contract between On Location and Ace and Ramblin'?
Objection, Your Honor. He just answered that question.
He didn't.
I'll allow that.
So I don't know if there is actual written contract between of them. So I don't know that. I see as my personal experience when we pick up at the same points, I see that people being checked in with On Location, getting into the Ace and Ramblin' Express buses. So, but I don't know what kind of contract. Is it hard contract? Is it a verbal agreement? Is it? I don't know that, and I can speculate on that, but I don't know if there is a contract between of them.
I don't know as a fine answer, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Knight, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, just two questions. Well, one question. So going back to your testimony of you got the wristband and getting on the bus, you said you saw, it's correct, you said you saw the Ace logo. And then you also said you saw the On Location. How did you describe that? I forget.
It's a little windshield signage, which goes, you know, like when there is a big bus comes and there is always where it comes from, like Union Station or wherever. So, and that was the little signage on the windshield saying the On Location. Shuttles
Did it say On Location? Did it say, or what did it actually say?
It's actually, I believe it has logo On Location. I cannot exactly describe what it says. It has the logo on location shuttles to red rocks up there. But then I don't know, and that was the logo from rrxshuttles.com, by the way. But I don't know if that was the logo from that bus from the main page. But I don't know if it's actually says by wording red rocks shuttle.
But it would be fair to say that that bus had branding for ACE and for on location.
That is correct. Yep.
That's all my questions, Your Honor.
Bear with me just a moment. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lysenko, for your testimony. Mr. Knight, you can call your next witness.
Okay.
I would like to call Todd Holland, please.
We have Mr. Holland with us. Thank you. If you would, you're muted. If you would, please raise your right hand, Mr. Holland. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Mr. Holland, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, I do now. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Knight.
Good morning, Mr. Holland. I appreciate you being here this morning. I really just have a couple questions. First, I want to find out what is your occupation?
So I'm the owner of a bus company called Ramblin' Express.
Are you the only owner of that business?
My wife and I.
Okay. And does Ramblin' Express, we saw earlier a couple exhibits, I believe exhibit 105. Are those exhibits held by your company, or are those permits held by your company?
I believe so.
Mr. Holland, do you need to review that exhibit?
The exhibits of my permit that were shown to me earlier and on the screen appear to be our
Thank you.
exhibits from UC, correct?
And just one final question for you. Is Ramblin' Express a common carrier?
So Ramblin' Express operates under various permits and authorities. And we do run scheduled service under a common carrier authority. We also run charter service under our CSB as well. And we also have a contract carrier permit as well, unrelated to this.
That's all my questions for you, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, we typically don't allow friendly cross, but Mr. Jennings, did you have any clarifying questions?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Valentine, any redirect? Or
Thank
excuse
you.
me.
Thank
You
you.
can't cross your own witness.
No, I will. I assume that I will do some redirect and then I will call him myself. But Mr. Holland, thank you for appearing today. You mentioned that there is a CSB permit, and that's the permit that's at issue today in this proceeding as far as on location is concerned. Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay, that's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, then Mr. Knight, any redirect?
That will be all, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Holland. Mr. Knight, you can call your next witness.
Yes, we'd like to call Sean Davis, please.
And Mr. Davis. Okay, thank you, Mr. Davis. If you would, please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Knight.
Thank you for being here this morning, Mr. Davis. And I just have basically the same questions for you that I had for Mr. Holland. So if you could just tell us briefly what your occupation is.
Yes, I'm the Vice President and General Manager of Ace Express Coaches.
What does that mean? What does that entail?
I am the person that runs the company for the operating or ownership group.
So are you an owner of the company?
I am not.
Okay. And how is the company organized? What's its corporate structure?
We're owned by a listed company out of Australia called Kelsian. Inside the United States, we have All Aboard America Holdings Incorporated, which is the US operating arm that runs Ace Express plus a number of other motor coach companies in the US.
And so Ace Express is a wholly owned subsidiary of those parents that you just mentioned?
Correct. I don't have at hand the actual ownership structure in front of me, if that's okay.
Yep, that's fine. That's fine. So tell us a little bit more about your responsibilities at Ace Express.
I run the business.
Would that include getting any permits required for the business?
It would.
So we saw, I believe, Exhibit 104 earlier, and does that accurately represent permits held in Colorado by Ace Express?
Ace Express has had a number of permits throughout the years. That was one of the permits.
Okay. Is Ace Express a common carrier in Colorado? And you can just tell me what you believe or based on your own knowledge. If that's what I'm asking.
We operate public transit. We operate fixed route contracts for clients. We operate charter bus service for a wide variety of clients.
Okay, thank you.
Is that helpful?
That's all the questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Any clarification, Mr. Valentine, at the moment?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Davis, I'll ask you the same question that I asked Mr. Holland, which is that from your perspective with regard to on location, it's the charter bus permit that's at issue in this case, isn't that right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Redirect, Mr. Knight?
No, I presume Mr. Jennings has no questions. Okay. No redirect. That's all for this witness.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Davis. And Mr. Knight, you can call your next witness.
So this will be our last witness. We call Mr. Rick Van Patten, please.
Mr. Van Patten.
Hey, everybody, can you hear me?
Yes, if you would please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here this morning, or there, where you are. Again, very similar questions that I had for Mr. Davis and Mr. Holland. Can you tell us what your occupation is?
Sure, yeah, I work for on-location events as a program manager, festival services.
What does a program manager do?
I run the program from top to bottom. I manage a team of people who provide hospitality services for the program.
Okay, and what kind of hospitality services? What does that mean?
We check guests in. We provide necessary information. We answer questions about the event process. Where we provide necessary information for them to get through the evening.
Okay. Are you, so you said you're a program manager. Are you an owner of On Location?
No.
Okay. And so you report to somebody else?
Yes.
Oh, who is that you report to?
I report to a gentleman named Brad Nagel.
Thank you. Are you familiar with Ace Express and Ramblin' Express?
Yes, I am.
Other respondents, how are you familiar with them?
We do a lot of business with them. We've done a lot of business with them for many years.
What does business with them mean?
They are transportation providers, and they provide transportation to guests going to concerts, and we work with them to orchestrate rides and provide hospitality services for those guests.
Okay. I'm going to ask you things, and it's okay to tell me if you don't know. That's fine. Are you aware of whether On Location is organized as a business in Colorado?
I don't know.
Okay. Are you aware of whether On Location has any permits that have been granted to it from the Public Utilities Commission of Colorado?
I don't know.
Is that something that you would be in charge of getting if that needed to be done?
I don't believe so. No.
Who would be in charge of that?
I'm honestly not sure. There's several layers to the upper management of the festival services division of this company, so I'd have to defer to my team.
What is Brad Nagel's position?
I believe it's director festival operations.
Okay. I want to talk about exhibit, I believe it was 101 that we saw earlier, which was the website. Is that website owned by On Location?
Ms. Kunkel, could we bring up Exhibit 101 for the witness?
I don't know, owned by On Location, I'm not sure. Yes, that is On Location's website that is used for this shuttle program.
And the shuttle program, so customers come on and buy passes like Mr. Lysenko testified about?
Correct. I think we established that this is where the tickets are purchased.
Okay. And then what else does On Location do as part of that process? Just send tickets to people, or is there anything else involved that
On Location orchestrates the rides by selling the tickets, and the transportation is being provided by Ace and Ramblin'.
Okay, sells the tickets. You heard Mr. Lysenko testify earlier that there was someone wearing an On Location vest and an On Location booth.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your company?
That is well, I can't say because I wasn't there, but I'm assuming if it was one of our staff in a high vis, then yes, it was one of ours.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, did you say a high vis? Is that what you said?
A high vis jacket, yep. So it's a safety thing. You see folks wearing when it's dark out, the very bright neon colored jackets.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mr. Jennings, any clarifying questions about the testimony thus far?
Not based on this question, Your Honor. We will call Mr. Van Patten as a witness as well.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Van Patten, thank you for your testimony. And Mr. Knight, I'll ask.
Yeah, that's all the witnesses. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Jennings. I'll ask you to call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'd like to call Mr. Van Patten.
Your Honor,
Okay, Mr.
at this point, I would like to ask that you dismiss Ace and Ramblin' from this case because it's very clear that they're providing service under their scenic charter permits. Mr. Lysenko testified that these are buses that roll up, and it's also apparent that there are contracts in place with Ace and Ramblin'. And this is service that's being provided pursuant to their charter bus permits. There's no testimony otherwise.
Your Honor, just in response to that, what we've heard from in the testimony that we've heard so far and what we've seen is that they have permits to do that. We don't have enough evidence yet, and we're planning to show, and I think that's part of the main part of this case, is that they're actually acting outside the authority that they were given. The reason why these permits were brought in was to show that they are common carriers and thus subject to jurisdiction, again, within the narrow scope of what this hearing is about.
Mr. Knight, let me ask you a hypothetical. Well, no, it's not a hypothetical. It's a question about your case. Is it your contention that the commission has jurisdiction over this complaint case, no matter what transportation, if any, was provided by the respondents because they hold the CPCN to provide transportation services?
Absolutely, Your Honor. So the latter portion of what you mentioned is whether there's any liability to those parties, not whether there's jurisdiction.
And so if the let's now I am going to ask you a hypothetical. If Ramblin' Express is driving their bus and gets in a accident, and someone sued for personal injury damages at the commission, would the commission have jurisdiction over that?
I'm going to be honest, I don't know.
Okay, that was a hypothetical
that
question.
exceeds my knowledge of the commission rules.
Okay,
yeah.
That's fine. Okay, what I think I'm going to do, Mr. Valentine, I'm going to take that under advisement, and we'll proceed with the hearing.
I don't mean to push you, Your Honor, but your order explained that they have the burden of establishing jurisdiction in this case, and they haven't met their burden. They just haven't. And so, it's they're
well, that's also the legal conclusion that is subject of another pending motion. So I think the resolution of the factual issue is the only thing we're here today in this hearing for.
Okay.
Disputed facts.
Okay,
and
that's
so you're
fine.
trying to make conclusions.
Well, I guess I'm arguing that they haven't made a prima facie case. And if you think otherwise, that's fine. I'm happy to continue.
Well, I don't know that yet. That's why I'm taking under advisement.
Very good.
Your Honor, can I ask a question? Is that okay? Just I want to understand Mr. Valentine's argument. I don't think I understand it. So it sounds like what he's saying is the commission doesn't have jurisdiction because they were acting under the licenses they have. Is that correct? Or because I feel like we've shown conclusively there's the permits that show they're common carriers. We heard Mr. Holland's testimony and Mr. Davis' testimony about what they do under those permits. That's prima facie that they are common carriers subject to the jurisdiction under 40-6-108.
You again are trying to make a legal conclusion, and that's not the purpose of this hearing. Okay. So I'm not going to tell you right now whether I think you're going to lose this hearing or whether I'm going to grant Mr. Valentine's motion.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to make your case, but you've got to know your case. So that I will take the motion to dismiss under advisement. And then we can go to Mr. Jennings.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I guess, at this point, I need to do my job. by making a motion that we do not believe, this is a different argument, as it relates to on-location events. It's also Mountain Star's burden as the proponent of the complaint, as the party who brought all of these folks here together. They filed a complaint against on-location events, and it's their burden to demonstrate that the commission has subject matter jurisdiction over on-location events. Mr. Lysenko testified conclusively that the commission there is no certificate, permit, or authority issued over on-location events.
And I'll deny that motion. Okay.
Understood, Your Honor.
Mr. Jennings.
Yes, we brought Mr. Van Patten here to testify about the issues as well, but I felt I had to raise that. Mr. Van Patten.
Yeah, if we can get the camera back on, please, Mr. Van Patten. I'll
Yep.
remind you remain under oath, and your counsel is going to be asking you questions now.
Mr. Van Patten, I may cover some ground just to make sure that we understand your role here. Who is your current employer?
On location events.
And how long have you worked there?
Just over 2.5 years.
And what is your current title?
Current title, roughly Program Manager, Festival Services.
Can you please describe for us on location events business? What do you do?
On Location is a hospitality services provider, working in premium event experiences, anything from the Super Bowl to Coachella, all these different large scale events, working with, preferred partners to create experiences.
So several of those operations are outside of the state of Colorado.
Correct.
And we're here today because one of those concerns Red Rocks, which is here. Is that right?
Correct.
And you've heard a lot of testimony about the other parties. Does On Location Events have a business relationship with Ace Coaches and Rambling Express?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the facts involved in this PUC proceeding?
I believe I'm familiar. It seems a lot of moving pieces.
Generally familiar. And are you familiar with the other few parties here? Mountain Star, Ace, and Ramblin'?
Yes.
Those are transportation companies?
Yes, to my knowledge.
Are you familiar with Mr. Lysenko, who's the owner of Mountain Star?
Yes, I am.
Have you personally met Mr. Lysenko?
Yes, we got coffee together.
Approximately when was that?
It was earlier this year. I don't remember the exact date. Forgive me. I believe it was in March or April.
Okay. Was it prior to June 2024 when this complaint was filed?
Yes, it was.
And why did Mr. Lysenko meet with you?
He met with me to try to explain something that he thought we needed to have, and at which point I explained to him my understanding of how this worked, how we're not the transportation company, how Ace and Ramblin' are the transportation companies. He then proceeded to tell me how he wanted someone to buy his company, how he was trying to get a buyout, and if he didn't get a buyout, he was willing to do whatever he could to make sure that his business would succeed.
Did he ask if On Location Events wanted to buy out his company?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this again. I have no idea what the relevance is here to subject matter jurisdiction. This is a question of whether the commission has jurisdiction over On Location, and Mr. Jennings is asking questions about business dealings between these companies.
Jennings, help me understand the relevance here.
Your Honor, this is a brief line of questioning. Mr. Lysenko testified for quite a long time this morning. Mr. Knight also called 2 other witnesses. This is all about the business dealings between these companies. And my line of questioning is establishing Mr. Van Patten's knowledge, particularly with regard to Mountain Star, the company that filed the complaint, his knowledge of the facts surrounding this complaint proceeding, and it will be a brief line of questioning.
Well, I really don't see the relevance of, I think you're trying to show a motivation for the filing of the complaint, and I'm not sure that's relevant. The complaint is either valid or it's not, no matter why in his heart of hearts he filed it. So let's move on.
Understood. Just with regard to the outcome, Mr. Van Patten, are you aware that Mountain Star is seeking an order that would require your company to cease its current operations?
Yes.
There's been significant testimony about which companies hold what PUC certificates or authority. Were you listening to that portion of the hearing?
Yes.
Does on-location events hold a certificate or a permit or authority issued by the Public Utilities Commission?
No, not to my knowledge.
Does on-location events carry any passengers for transportation in Colorado?
No.
Does on-location events employ any vehicle drivers?
No.
Do you employ any vehicle mechanics?
No.
Does your company own or lease any property where you would store vehicles?
No.
What about property where you would perform maintenance on vehicles?
No, we do not.
Does on-location events own any passenger vehicles?
Nope, we do not.
Does on-location events operate any vehicles?
No, we do not.
Do you control any vehicles?
No.
Can a member of the public call up on-location events and demand that you provide transportation service to them?
No.
Could a member of the Colorado public demand any kind of service, goods or services from on-location events?
No.
And is it your does Ace Express coaches hold PUC certificate, authority, or approval to provide transportation?
To my knowledge, they have all the permits they need to operate.
Does Ramblin' Express hold a PUC certificate, permit, or authority to provide transportation?
To my knowledge, they hold all the permits they need to operate.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Knight.
I do have a few questions for this witness. Mr. Van Patten, you testified that a member of the public can't demand transportation from on location.
Correct.
Can I go to your website and buy a ticket right now?
Potentially, if there's tickets available.
So if there's a ticket available, I could personally go buy one right now.
You could, if you had a credit card, and yep, you can go buy one.
And then I would get a ticket in my email, correct?
It's not a ticket necessarily, but sure, yeah, you'd get some sort of confirmation email proving that.
So that exhibit we saw earlier that said ticket at the top, that's not a ticket?
I don't know what you mean by ticket. We don't, the ticket, it's a confirmation email is the way we understand it.
Yeah, if we could look again real quick at exhibit 103, the first page, please. Does that not say this is your ticket?
Yes, it says this is your ticket.
So as a member of the public, if I saw that, wouldn't I think that's a ticket?
Yes, I believe
Where on
that.
here does it say Ace Express is going to be taken?
It doesn't say that on there.
Where on here does it say Ramblin will be driving?
Does not say that on there.
So isn't it true that the first time a member of the public would have any idea that some other company is involved in this process is as they're getting onto the bus, as Mr. Lysenko testified?
I'm not sure.
Tell us, how do you notify your customers, people who are buying tickets like this, that some other company is going to be driving them?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's my responsibility.
Well, whose responsibility is it?
I'm not sure. I don't understand.
That's all the questions I have for this witness.
Okay. Mr. Valentine, any clarification?
I guess I have a little bit, I have one line of questions to clarify what transportation is at issue.
I'll allow, for now, let's see how far we get. And then if you need to, you can call him in your own case.
Thank you. Mr. Van Patten, just to be clear, if I want to go from Denver International Airport to a hotel downtown, I can't get that transportation from you. Is that right?
Mr. Valentine, what's the relevance of a trip between Denver International Airport and downtown Denver?
That's what the relevance is what's on his website and what it allows customers to do.
Well, I'm going to ask you to change your hypothetical. I don't want DIA in the hypothetical. I think you're introducing complexities that you're not trying to ask.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. Basically, let me ask it this way. I can't get transportation between 2 points that are not related to Red Rocks. Is that right?
Correct. We do not offer transportation.
Okay. That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. And Mr. Knight, any redirects?
No, Your
Yes,
Honor.
redirect. Okay. Mr. Van Patten, thank you again for your testimony. Stay with us here, or you may be back.
Just some brief direct, Your Honor, 1 or 2 questions.
Okay.
Mr. Van Patten, you were answering some questions from Mr. Knight about the email string that we saw earlier. Is that right?
The email strain?
The ticket confirmation type page. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you testified that you weren't too sure about the mechanics of, the confirmation versus the phrasing ticket on that document. Is that right?
Correct.
Is it possible that ticket email was generated by C tickets, SEE tickets?
Yes, it is generated by C tickets.
And is it generated by on location events?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Van Patten, thank you for your testimony. Again, please stay with us as you may be recalled. Okay. And Mr. Jennings, any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
And Mr. Valentine.
Thank you. I would call Mr. Sean Davis.
And Mr. Davis, I'll remind you as well that you'll remain under your oath and we'll continue your testimony. And Mr. Valentine.
Thank you, Your Honor. For the record, my name is Mark Valentine, and I represent Ace Express and Ramblin' Express in this matter. Mr. Davis, you explained your position. How long have you held that position?
A little over 3 years.
And how long have you been involved in the transportation industry?
A little over 3 years.
Okay. And what was your experience before then?
I managed wholesale distribution.
Okay. Okay. So are you familiar with the operations of Ace Express to Red Rocks?
Yes,
And you saw an exhibit earlier on the screen that showed that you hold a commercial, a charter bus permit, and that's already in evidence. Is that right?
correct.
Okay. And you have contracts with On Location to provide that service. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. And um, when you provide this service, what is the goal of the transportation that you provide to On Location?
so similar to any charter, our goal is to deliver a vehicle from one location to another to meet the needs of the client.
Okay, so let's talk about your clients. On Location is one client. Who are your other clients?
Are you specifically asking about charter clients?
Yeah, charter clients, and you don't need to name specifics, but the types of entities that might charter your service.
Sure. Tour companies, destination management companies, universities, schools of all sizes and shapes, pro sporting clients. Major League Baseball would be like an example. Weddings, I mean, just a huge range of individuals that have needs for transportation.
Okay, and you're familiar generally with the requirements to provide charter bus permit, aren't you?
Yes,
Okay, and for On Location, which is the subject of this complaint, are you just running motor coaches?
we've operated motor coaches exclusively with the on-location client.
Okay, and what's special about motor coaches?
They're greater than 33 passengers, I believe is the definition.
Okay, okay. I would like to call up Exhibit 301 Public.
Sorry, it's just taking a second to open.
Yeah. Okay, so can you describe to me what these are?
Yeah, that's what we call a charter hard copy. It's the work instructions that we use to run a charter.
Okay, and if you could, you see where it's, can you blow that up, please?
I don't have my glasses, so I need some.
Which
me
section
too.
of the document?
That's
Yeah,
fine.
Can you see that, Mr. Davis?
Yeah.
Okay, and I just want to run through here. So
I would like to just note an objection here. I feel like where we're going down, the path we're going down right now is outside the subject matter scope and more towards what the potential liability, if any, would be for ACE under the complaint. So we're not asking.
Not sure if that's an objection to this document on the screen. I don't think there's a pending question.
I'm objecting to this line of questioning and where it's going.
Okay, Mr. Valentine.
I'm going to show that they've been operating under their charter bus permit.
Yeah, I think that's part of the disputed facts. I'll overrule the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. So all of these documents, and we can scroll through, there's 17 pages. All of these are basically charter orders from On Location to ACE. Is that right?
That's correct.
And each one of them has a separate charter number, is charter ID, that's up at the top, is that right?
Correct.
And so the judge could scroll through and figure out which document, which pages belong together. Is that fair?
It is.
Okay. And I've redacted the pricing information because the parties to this case are competitors. But it says here that you are supposed to use a bus of 56 and it says coach there. Do you see that?
Yes.
And it's your testimony, right, that you've used exclusively motor coaches, right?
Correct.
And all of these charter orders are with On Location, correct?
Correct.
I'm just
Okay.
about to hear that he's leading his witness. He's testifying and getting yes and no answers. And this isn't a hostile witness.
You're leading a little bit, Mr. Valentine, but let's go through it as you wish here. Let's try to get to questions.
That's understood, Your Honor. So who ordered, I'll just rephrase the question, who ordered the buses for the trips to Red Rocks?
Typically it's Mr. Van Patten.
Okay. Okay. And does any party other than On Location control the movements of the motor coaches?
No.
Okay. Now, it's not been addressed directly, but the exhibit that was put on the screen that contained all of your PUC permits, did you get a chance to look at all of those?
I did.
Okay. Is it your understanding that when you operate under one permit, you're operating under all of them?
No.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
First, I'll ask Mr. Jennings if you had any clarifying questions.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Nutt.
Hi again. So just real quick, you testified that On Location controls the motor coaches for those trips from the various locations to Red Rocks.
They choose the pickup and destination.
So Mr. Lysenko, when he took the bus, could he have told the driver, hey, I want to stop at 7-Eleven? And the driver would do that?
It's not safe to pull into a 7-Eleven with a motor coach.
Or anywhere else?
It's not
Would you permit a driver to take directions from Mr. Lysenko in that case?
a motor coach is directed by the person that charters the bus. They have control over the end destination.
Okay.
And
Tell us what do you know about the passengers that are getting on the bus that On Location charters?
I don't know anything about the passengers.
It's just a charter to On Location, whoever they put on it, wherever they want it to go, that's it.
Are you asking me what the passengers on a motor coach are trying to accomplish? I don't understand the question.
That's fair. What's the relationship between the passengers on the motor coach?
I don't know the passengers on the motor coach.
Okay. So all you know, it's fair to say all you know is On Location chartered a bus. You show Ace shows up where they say to pick up. Ace drops off where On Location says to drop off. Is that fair to say?
That's how every charter works.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
Hey, Mr. Valentine, any redirect?
Yeah, just briefly, Your Honor, thank you. Mr. Davis, you just talked about how the charter process works, and you indicated that that's how all the charters work. In your experience at Ace Express, is there always a chartering entity that controls the destination? It's not up to the passengers?
That is correct. The person that essentially charters the bus, pays the bill, that individual decides where the motor coach goes, and sometimes they make no deviation and sometimes they do. It's largely in their control, assuming it's safe.
Okay. And you were asked a question about common purpose. What's the common purpose of the passengers who are on the bus going to Red Rocks?
I don't know the individual's motivation, but presumably it's to see a concert.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Davis, thank you for your testimony. Mr. Valentine, any further witnesses?
Yes. We'll call Todd Holland.
Okay, I'm looking at the clock here. It is 10 minutes to noon, and I flew right through past the morning break for our court reporter. Thinking, let's go off the record a moment. Tracy, how you doing? Time-wise, just guesses from folks. Mr. Valentine, how much longer would you guess?
I have approximately the same questions for Mr. Holland that I did for Mr. Davis.
Mr. Knight, any anticipated rebuttal?
No, although we would like to make closing remarks, and I anticipate maybe 10 to 15 minutes for that.
I think let's go ahead and take a lunch break, and we'll come back at 1 o'clock and give the reporter a break, and we'll be in recess till then. I'll let you know though that we're going to continue the webcast, I believe, throughout, and we're for sure going to leave the Zoom session open. So be sure to mute your mics. Feel free to turn off your cameras as well. And then we'll just resume where we are at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Tracy, are you back with us?
I'm ready.
Great, thanks. Okay, we'll go back on the record for a lunch break in proceeding number 24F-0236CP. And I believe we left off Mr. Valentine.
Thank you, Your Honor. I neglected to move Exhibit 301 into evidence, and I'd like to do that now.
And Ms. Kunkel, would you put 301 back up for me? Okay. And this is a 17-page exhibit of multiple starter hard copies.
Yes.
Okay. Any objection to the admission of a hearing exhibit 301?
No.
Exhibit 301 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You bet. You can call your next witness.
Okay, great. Call Mr. Todd Holland, please.
Okay, Mr. Holland, I'll remind you, you remain under oath from your earlier testimony. You are muted right now, so if you'll take that off. And Mr. Valentine.
Thank you. Just for the record, I am still Mark Valentine, representing Ace Express and Ramblin'. You're employed by Ramblin', and could you remind us of your position?
Sure. I'm the president and one of the co-owners of Ramblin' Express.
Okay, and what's your involvement in day-to-day operations?
I oversee a team of people and our operations related to various transportation services we provide.
Okay. And how long have you been the owner of Ace?
It's a Ramblin' Express, and
Ramblin', sorry.
okay. I started the company in 1993.
Okay, so for decades then.
Yep.
Okay, and I'd like to just discuss a little bit the history of charter service. Who are your typical clients?
Sure. So on the charter side of our business, our clients are varied. Chartering parties consist of they could be individuals representing a group of people for a wedding or special event. They could be a company or corporation. It could be a nonprofit. They could be a meeting planner, travel agency, tour operator. Gosh, we work with schools. We work with churches. And we work with others, many government agencies, the military, and otherwise.
Okay. All right. And could you describe the chartering process, please?
Sure. So typically a member of one of those groups or those charter parties would reach out to us for a quote or an estimate for service in a vehicle for their itinerary, times, dates. We provide a price, and if we're in the business, we would move towards a charter contract and a confirmation, to provide that service for that chartering party.
Okay. And there's been some question, I think, about the people who are the passengers. Does Ramblin' ever know those people?
So typically when we charter to a group, we have a point of contact with that charter party, and that's who we take direction from as far as any changes to the itinerary and that type of thing. The passengers themselves, whether they're students or kids or athletes or seniors or military, we do not know them.
Okay. Okay. So you are familiar with Ramblin's service to On Location, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to pull up hearing exhibit 303 public, please.
And while we're waiting on that, Mr. Valentine, I had a note to come back and clarify. So you also filed a confidential copy or version of hearing exhibit 301. And was it, so when you asked for it to be admitted, I'm admitting the confidential version as well as the redacted version of that. I assume that was your intent.
That's fine, Your Honor. I actually don't need the redacted version. I mean, the highly confidential version with the pricing exhibit for my argument. So,
If you don't, then I don't.
okay, that's great.
So what we will do for clarification then is that hearing exhibit 301 is admitted. It is a redacted document. And then the document that was in the box.com folder as a confidential version of exhibit 301, I will ask Ms. Kunkel to return that to your folder, not the hearing folder. And so the confidential version will not be admitted.
That is terrific. Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge,
Thank you.
I haven't moved it over yet, the confidential, just the 301 public, so we're good.
So we have confirmation. That's what we need.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you
Kunkel.
very much. And now we've got hearing exhibit 303. Mr. Valentine.
Okay. Mr. Holland, do you recognize these documents?
Yes.
And I'll ask you a similar set of questions. These are charter orders with on location, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and could you take us through the document? For example, if we could blow that up a bit. I see charter number there. What is that number?
Sure. So each confirmation, our software assigns a specific charter number to make reference to, which would make reference to the specific service order on a specific, date or dates and times.
Okay, and you're listed here as the representative, is that right?
I happen to be the sales representative on this one, correct?
Okay, so let's scroll down just a hair. And you can see here the description of the service. Could you describe that, please?
Sure. So, this looks to be a charter on October 7th, spotting at a location to be determined or as desired by the customer, the chartering party, at 4 o'clock, and ending at approximately, it looks like going to Red Rocks, and ending at approximately 12:30 at night.
Okay, and could we scroll down to the next page, please? Okay, and there's a description here of the vehicle. Could you explain what that is, please?
Sure. So for this client, we run charter motor coaches, predominantly 56-seat motor coaches. There may have been occasion where we offered a 54-passenger, or we even have 36-passenger motor coaches. But those are the 3 vehicle types that we run for this service.
And so, is it your understanding that that service meets the requirements of the rule for vehicle size?
Presume you're talking about the rule that designates vehicles operated under the charter service, the charter scenic bus permit.
Yes.
And I think that refers to vehicles that are either 32 or I believe 33 seats or larger. So yes.
Okay. Have you ever used smaller vehicles for on location?
No, not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Okay. And I've asked you to describe this document. All of the documents in this exhibit are similar in that regard, right? They're as you describe them.
Yeah,
The service.
if you could just scroll through them, I
Sure.
presume this is a series of charter service orders for various states.
Yep.
This past year, so yes.
have you ever provided, that's fine, Ms. Kunkel, thank you.
Well,
And I
I'm sorry, Mr. Valentine, let's let Mr. Holland be the one he's comfortable. Are you
okay, that's
comfortable
fine.
hearing Exhibit 303 being your charter orders?
Yeah, it looks like you're about a third of the way through, but I believe that's all charter service orders, correct?
Well,
Let's scroll through. Let's scroll through.
You.
Okay, thank you. And I guess I just want to ask you, these charter orders are typical charter orders that are used not just for on location, but for all of your clients. Is that right?
That's correct. The format is the same for all of our clients. You'll note that the client is on location. We have a client ID, abbreviated text and number that coincides with this particular charter client in our system, and you'll see that on the right-hand side.
Okay. And so that's that client ID in the larger box in the top, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. All right. With that, I'd like to move this Exhibit 303 into evidence.
Any objection to the admission of Exhibit 303?
No, Your Honor.
303 is admitted, and again, we will not, it's a redacted document, but we will not have a confidential exhibit. It will be only the publicly available one.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. And so you were talking a little bit earlier about the vehicle sizes, and you only use these size vehicles for your charter bus service. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, it's true that ACE is not the only other charter bus company out there, correct?
No, I believe there are many charter bus companies in Colorado.
Okay. And so it's a competitive market for charter bus service. Is that right?
Really competitive.
And describe the competition between you and the other companies, please.
Well, I think all of us that provide this type of service try and, to deliver a quality product and great value at an affordable and competitive price to the charter clients.
Okay.
We win some business and we lose some business.
Okay. And since ACE, since Ramblin was founded as a company, has that been the case?
Yes.
Okay. Has Ramblin ever provided any other service to on location except charter bus service?
No, not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
And a clarifying question, Mr. Jennings?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
And Mr. Knight?
Hello again, Mr. Holland. Appreciate your time today. I know this has taken a long time, so just a couple questions. So on Exhibit 303, it looked like that was for just the first page. I'm sorry. Could we? Yes, thank you so much. It looks like, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is for one pickup and one drop off. Just this first page.
So this particular one, we set up with some generic notes under Denver Stop 1 and a potential Denver Stop 2,
Okay.
going then to Red Rocks and leaving Red Rocks. So we have some information kind of pre-filled, and as we get closer, we get direction from the client as to where they want us to go.
Okay. And just to clarify, this would be from, so like 4 p.m. Denver Stop 1 and pickup, or excuse me, 4:15 Denver Stop 1. That's when pickup means you pick up or people get on the bus, correct?
Yes.
And then 4:30 is when the bus leaves, correct?
We'll leave when the client tells us to leave, but
Okay.
when we put the confirmation together, that's what they've asked for. Yes.
And so this is just one trip from Red Rock, or excuse me, from whichever of these locations, Denver Stop 1 or 2, to Red Rocks.
Yes.
Okay. Under further requirements, it says must use bus window signage as provided by client. Is that similar to what Mr. Lysenko testified about, seeing the on location sign in the ACE bus?
This would be a very, very typical and common and standard request of a chartering client to put a piece of paper, maybe with their logo or designated as bus A, or the blue bus, or whatever they want to call it, to help their people identify which bus they need to get on.
So would that sign say on location, or would it say shuttles to Red Rocks, or both?
I do not know what the ultimate sign looked like on this charter. It may have been the logo, it may have been Red Rocks, it may have been just a color or a number, a letter, I'm not sure. We let the client do what they want to do there.
Okay. So do you have any requirement of on location to tell the people that it book? Well, I'm going to withdraw that, start over again. Are you familiar with how on location gets were you familiar with this process that we saw and heard Mr. Lysenko describe earlier?
Am I familiar with the process that they put together groups?
Yes.
Mr. Holland, I lost the first part of your answer
Okay.
there.
I was asking for clarification on the question. I think I understand it. While I have taken a peek at that website in the past, it wouldn't typically be any of our business to look at how our clients, whether travel agencies are on location or other, put their groups together, or how things are advertised, if they charge or they don't charge. That's really not our place.
Okay, so just to clarify, you wouldn't say that you're aware of how on location. So when the people get on your bus, you don't know how they were brought together. Yeah, and you don't really ask or inquire into that when you create these agreements.
That's something we don't typically ask, no.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And back to that window sign again. One other question. No, never mind. I got it. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any redirect, Mr. Valentine?
Yes, just one question. You just commented that you don't generally inquire as to how your clients' groups are brought together. Has that always been the case?
That's always been the case. That would be very difficult for us as a charter operator to qualify who these people are, how they got them together, how they advertise, what they charge or don't charge. It just would not be common for us as a carrier to question that.
And that's true in the industry, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Holland. Mr. Valentine, any further witnesses?
No further witnesses. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll shift back to Mr. Knight. Any rebuttal?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you again, Mr. Holland. You can turn your video off if you wish. Okay, well then that completes the presentation of evidence in the hearing. I was thinking over the lunch hour, Mr. Knight, you mentioned wanting to make an oral closing statement, and I'm going to ask the parties to do a written statement of position after this. I'll tell you that right now. If you have a burning desire to give an oral summary or something like that, I'll allow it and listen to everybody. But I am going to ask for a statement of position. We've now heard factual evidence today. I would welcome proposed findings of fact from parties as part of that statement, but definitely the legal citations of authority determining the outcome. And I'll also remind you, we're right now focusing on the initial resolution of subject matter jurisdiction. So with that, I'll ask then, do you want, or does any party want to make an oral closing remark now?
I was actually going to ask if we could provide written statements, so that's just fine.
Okay. Going, and we'll stick with the written closing statement of position. All right. Well, I appreciate the party's presentation. This is presents some interesting issues, and I'll look forward to reading statements. And are there any final matters we need to address today from anyone?
Just a question, Your Honor. Are you going to issue a decision setting a date for that?
No, then I should talk about that, though. I wasn't going to issue an order. What do the parties need time-wise? Week, 2, 3? I'll throw out 2. But I'll take them faster, and we can delay longer if that's necessary too.
I'll go first. I think 2 weeks sounds fair.
I agree.
Works, Your Honor.
All right. Well, I'll look for statements in 2 weeks then. And any other final matters? And that, I'll thank you again for the presentation. Thank the witnesses for their attendance and testimony. And I wish you all a good day. We're in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
Thank you.